Hello, Smart Money subscribers. Here are the two revised tweaks to the Bet the Winner chop system by the Smart Money Group. Now, the first change you'll see is in the betting sequence. We now go from $10 on Marty 1 to 30, 70, 140, 280, 560, 1190, and Marty 8 is now 2380. Now, the rules changed a little bit. Still always bet on the winner, except after the second hand chop. Continue that chop on the third hand, not the fourth hand. Your stop loss is still $100 per session. Don't play more than 5 sessions per night. And this Bet the Winner system will allow you to win about $100 every 10 to 12 minutes. So let's go now to the simulator. Okay, we're at the simulator now, and let's see who the winner is going to be. So we'll deal the hand, and it's a player. So it's going to be $10 on the player. And we won that bet. So the next bet is going to be $10 on the player. We'll repeat it. And that's another win. Let's repeat that bet. You always go back to $10 after a win. And we won that bet. We have a little bit of a player streak going. Let's rebet that. And that's a banker win. So our next progression is going to be $30 on banker. Let's make that bet. And banker does win. So our shoe balance is now already at $50. And we're going to place a $10 bet on banker, who was the winner. And we won that bet. So our shoe balance is now $60. And let's repeat that bet on the banker. And we won that bet again. Now, with the floating betting system that we implore here, we now can put a $30 bet, although we won, put a $30 bet on banker. And if we win that bet, we're out of the shoe and we can go to our next shoe. So here's that bet. And we did. We won that bet. So immediately we played 9 hands. We're out of the shoe. We have our $100 goal. So let's finish this shoe and we'll save it. And we're going to take a look at the statistics on this particular shoe when it saves. And we're going to get our 1-loss record on this. So we'll go to results, played shoes, and let's take a look. Okay, so we did play a total of 8 hands. We won 7 and only lost 1 hand. That's absolutely excellent. A lot of that has to do with how we change those betting progressions. We're out of the shoe very quickly. Okay, let's play another shoe. Okay, we'll start a new shoe and we'll get our minimum bet going. Okay, let's see who the winner is going to be, and it's a banker. So it's going to be $10 on banker. And we won that bet. So your next sequence is a repeat, $10 on banker. And we won that bet. And we're going to repeat it again. Just keep repeating if you win. And that's a tie. Let's repeat that bet. Now it's a player. So our next bet is going to be $30 on player. And we lost that bet. Now, watch the board. We're into the chop already. Remember, after the second chop, we start betting the chop. We don't wait to the third anymore. So we have a player, banker. So your next bet is going to be $70. Let's call it $70 on the player. We're going to bet that. And banker came out. So that is now a banker win. Your next bet, again, bet the winner, is going to be $70. In this case, it's going to be $140 next progression on the banker. So let's get that bet going. 140 on the banker. And the player won. So now we have our next bet is going to be on the player, and that's going to be, with the floating system, $330 on the player to get out of the shoe. We win this, we're out of the shoe. Okay, let's make that bet. And the player did win. So we hit our shoe balance of 100. We played a total of 8 or 9 hands. That was it. Let's finish this shoe and we're going to check out our score. And this is the quickest and best way to reach your goal of $100. You can see how fast it goes. Let's go to the played shoes and we're going to take a look at the scoreboard. And here we go. We have 3 wins and 4 losses. So although we lost more than we won, we hit our goal rather quickly. Okay, let's go to another shoe. Start a new shoe. And let's get our minimum bet up going. And who's going to be the winner? It's going to be player. So it's $10 on player. Make that bet. And the banker wins. Now pay close attention to the board. So we have a player and banker. So the next bet would have normally been $30 on banker, but now with the rule change, it's going to be $30 on player. So we'll make that change. And player did come out. Now, continue the chop. So your next bet, you go back to $10. Your next bet is $10 on banker. And hopefully we can pick up a real nice chop streak. And that's a tie. And that is a banker win. So your next bet is $10 on player. We're going to continue that chop betting. And that's a tie. 3 bet. And player did win. So your next bet is $10 on banker. Typically, chops would get you in trouble, but not here. Let's rebet that tie. And banker won again, so the chop continues. So the next bet is $10 on player. Look at your shoe balance. It's $50 already on a chop. And player came out. So now our next bet's going to be $10 on banker. And banker won. Now pay close attention. We're at $70 shoe balance. We've played and caught every single chop, but the next bet I want to be $30 on player. So if we win that, we're out of the shoe very safely. So let's make that bet. It just continues the chop and hopefully we'll hit that. And we don't. So we hit a banker. So now your next bet in the sequence, again, floating betting, getting out of the shoe, is $60 on who's the winner? Banker. So it's $60 on banker. All designed to get you out of the shoe quickly. And banker won, worked perfectly. So as you can see, folks, we caught every single chop and we caught the streak. $100 shoe balance, we're out of the shoe. Let's finish and save this shoe. And I want to play another shoe with you. Let's take a look. I know we won more than we lost this time, which is a really good sign. And we played 12 hands only because we kept chopping. But there you go. We won 7 and lost only 2. I love how this works. Let's close that and we're going to play another shoe. I'm glad I was able to show you that chop sequence and how well that works. Okay, let's get our betting sequence up. And who is going to be the winner? It is the player. So it's $10 on player. Lost. Pay close attention to the board now. Typically, again, it would be $30 on banker, who was the winner. But with the new change in the rules, it's going to be $30 on the player to continue the chop. So this is the second bet in your sequence. $30 on player. Let's see what happens. And banker came out. Okay, so your next bet is $70 on the winner, which is banker. So let's put $70 on banker. And player came out. Great. So now our next bet in this sequence is going to be $140 on player, because player was the winner. We'll start floating soon, but right now we just want to play the sequence out. And banker won. So now we have a player banker. However, you want to see what that chop would bring. So the next bet in the sequence will not be a banker, folks. It's going to be a player. Remember the rules. So now you're going to bet $350 on player, again designed to get you $100 shoe balance and get you out of the shoe. So let's make that bet again, $150 on the player. And player came out. The system worked as designed, worked perfectly. Well, let me go back. I want to undo the last hand. I think there might have been an error. Okay, so we have player, banker, and the next sequence would be a player, 350 on player. And player came out. So that's correct. So it's $100. That's our shoe balance. And if you decided you wanted to continue, then you would just simply continue the chop, which your next bet would go back to $10 and you'll be playing banker. Okay, so let's finish this shoe. And we'll look at our score. And we'll look at the played shoes. I only played 5 hands. It was very fast. Now, although we only won one hand, we still hit our goal of $100. Lost 4, won 1. So that's how easy it is to win. And let's play one more. Start a new shoe. And let's get our bets going. Okay, now who's going to be the winner? Let's deal that hand. And it's a banker. So it's $10 on banker. And we won that bet. We're going to repeat it. $10 again on banker. And a player came out. So we're going to bet the next progression, which is a $30 player bet. And that won. So your next bet's going to be $10 on player. And that lost. So your next bet is $30 on banker. And that won. So you see now we're into the terrible twos. 2 bankers, 2 players, 2 bankers. So our next bet's going to be $10 on banker. And player came out. $30 on player. Let's see if terrible twos continue. And they don't. It was a banker. So now we have a player and a banker. So the next bet's going to be on the next progression, we're going to play $30 on player. That would be the chop. And banker came out. So the next progression is $70 on banker. And that lost. So our next betting progression is going to be $140 on player. Here come the terrible twos again, I think. We'll find out. And it did. So the terrible twos, although we had an interruption, they came back. But our shoe balance is $50. Our next bet's going to be $10 on player. And banker came out. The terrible twos could continue. $30 on banker. And banker came out. The terrible twos continue. So I'm going to bet $10 on banker. Now you have an option. Let's stop here. It's a terrible twos all the way. I can bet $30 on banker, hope that hits, and I'm out of the shoe. So let's try that. It's a floating bet. $30 on banker. And player came out, so the terrible twos continue. But let's continue that floating betting. So now we're going to bet $60 on player, because player's a winner. And hopefully we'll get out of the shoe with a $60 win. And banker came out. So now the next bet would be $120 to get you out of the shoe on what? On player, because player is the next bet in the chop. So that's going to be $120 on the player. Let's see what happens. And the player won. So there you go, folks. Got through the terrible twos and also won on the chop. $100 shoe balance. This is a great example of how well this system works. The tweaks work perfectly. Because typically we would have bet a banker, it would have been a loss, but with the new tweak, you won. So let's finish this shoe and we'll get a tally. Now this went back and forth because of the terrible twos, but the bottom line is we were never really threatened and we hit our $100 goal. In fact, we haven't been threatened with any of the sessions we played at all. So let's see. And sure enough, we had 9 losses and we had 6 wins. So we really lost 3 more than we won, but still hit our goal of $100. So this is a really good example, folks, of how this works. And by the way, if you get a chance, Baccarat Win Pro is a great tool. The members of our team all use this now, and the reasons being is because it's very similar to a brick and mortar scenario casino. You can actually replay shoes to see where you went wrong. It's great for a training tool, but more importantly, you can record every single session and you can share that session with other people, other members of your team. So I want to thank you very much. This was a great demonstration and wish you lots of luck. Thank you.